Thank you, Ashley. Hi, everyone. How are you guys today? Are you guys enjoying the Selenium conference? I'm enjoying it, definitely. I'm learning a huge amount of stuff here. So basically, Ashley's told most about myself. She didn't give me a chance to introduce myself already. So yes, I'm Christina, and I'm working as software QA automation engineer at Zyzy. So Zyzy is a company, a small company that we work with the UK government basically at the moment, and we've been trying to move into continuous integration, and we've started using Selenium Grid and reporting with extent reports. So basically, when we work with clients this business, we need to give them some kind of proof. So we found it very hard to make them understand what continuous integration is, and they found it quite difficult to actually understand how tests would run in a nightly build and how you would get results out of it. So that's when we actually sought the help of extent reports. So I'm sure many of you have heard about Selenium Grid because this is a Selenium conference. But may I know how many of you have heard about Selenium Grid? Just a show of hands, please. Wow, that's a lot. How many of you use Selenium Grid or have used? Okay, and how many of you use it in a day-to-day basis, like every day? Okay, as the questions went, I saw a gradual drop of hands. So initially when I started in the work with Selenium Grid, it was quite difficult for me because I'm quite new to the industry compared to the loads of speakers here. So yesterday I was sitting in the dinner and I realized that I was literally a baby compared to the others. So when we started using Selenium Grid and we used extent reports hand in hand, we actually got quite good results that we could actually share with our clients who probably wouldn't have any kind of technical knowledge, but they're talking about real business. So I'm just going to talk to you basically about how Selenium Grid works for the benefit of those who've not used it before. And then I will move on to how we distribute our tests on different machines or different atmosphere. And then I will talk to you about extent reports, which is a new reporting plugin that you can use with your projects. And then also some cool features of that. So as my talk goes, you will have quite a few demonstrations as well. So basically, what is Selenium Grid? The picture, as you can see, depicts the whole idea of what Selenium Grid is. You have your code in the hub, or basically, if it's continuous integration, you're going to have it with the process or the server, and then run the tests as it goes. If the tests pass, then you will have the release, else it will fail the test. So it's basically hub and node concept, and we're going to have a central point and where we would then connect them to the atmosphere that we want to run our tests on. So I would always call node as the atmosphere where we want to run the tests on, because it's going to have the same operating system that you would like. So again, when we were working with the business, they had requirements where they even had to run the tests on the IE environment, which is now actually going extinct, but they would even request us to run tests on IE 9 and IE 10, which would sound very absurd. But Selenium Grid actually helped us with that, and then we get the results out with the reports as well. So as you know, hub is nothing but the central point where you run your tests on, and then from where you would be running your tests on, and node is basically connected to your hub, so that you'll have multiple nodes according to your need or necessity, and then you will run your tests from the hub into your nodes. So I'm just going to show you what kind of configuration I'm going to do in the next demonstration. So basically, you're going to have the hub machine, which is going to be in the video, you would see it as my local machine. Then I will be connecting it to the Firefox browser in my virtual machine, and then I'll do Chrome specific and IE specific nodes as well. So what kind of changes do you need to do in your scripts? So basically, main things that you need to worry about when you're doing your own grid. So yeah, there are a lot of tools that now help you, like lots of tools that help you to actually configure your own, Selenium grid without any hassle. But I'm just talking to you about the basics. So I had a challenge where I wasn't given a paid tool to use, and I had to use Selenium grid, which is free to use. And so these are a few of the changes that I had to do in my script. So basically, it's all about remote WebDriver, because you're going to run your tests on the remote machine and not the WebDriver. And also, you need to give the ideas of the desired, like what kind of capabilities that you would want your WebDriver, the remote WebDriver, to have, or these are the specific things that you want to run the tests on. So let's just have a quick look at the demo. So yes, I'm just going to run this. So basically, I have the standalone jar downloaded in my local machine, which then I specify as the hub. And right afterwards, I run the command. You would see that the grid is up and running. Let's just quickly run into the grid console. I think most of you guys who use Selenium grid probably would be aware of this. So you can have the status of the grid available as well. As you can see that the details of the grid is available now, and you could just, now I'm going to go into my virtual machine. For the benefit of the video, I have used these command, and I'm going to run I'm going to execute it, and I'm going to call it the node. So I'm going to specify the hub URL and the port as well, and I'm going to run it on my virtual machine. So there you go. The node is registered to the hub as mentioned there. So as you can see, it's available in the hub console, as well as the hub machine console, as well as the grid console. So the grid console gives details that this particular port is registered with this particular IP address and so on to this hub. Moving forward, I'm going to do just one more node so that you would be able to see how I do it for Chrome specific. But if you guys are using tools, probably this is going to be easier. So there you go. I have specified the Chrome drive URL as well. So I'll just copy it out and paste it in the command prompt so that we can have the node that is Chrome specific registered as well. As you see, I'm going to show the same. So you can see that 2 nodes have been registered to my hub. And you can just go into the grid console and see, yes, there are 2 nodes registered as well. So since we've got the registration done, I'm just going to quickly move into the tests. So basically, we use JUnit at Zyzy, and we've been running our JUnit tests, and we've been running using the test values.xml. So we've got the values out of it. So I'm just going to give the look of the structure of the tests, and there you go. I'm getting the values using the parameterized class, And yes, those are the values that I'm going to use for my test, as you will see. So the main thing is that I'm going to mention the node URL. So this is the node that I want to run the tests on. And next, I will specify the desired capabilities. So it's either, if it depends on what browser you would want, but I'm doing this now for Firefox from my hub machine, which is my local machine, to, my node machine. So I'm going to mention ignore zoom settings as true. This is very important when you use like Chrome and IE, because IE especially wouldn't maximize. And also the other details like native events as false is quite important when it comes to IE, because some of the click events did not work when it came to IE 9 and 10 as well. I know it's quite old, the IE 9 and 10, but we had to run tests and we still are. So yeah, so the remote WebDriver is now ready, and we can run the tests. As usual, here now the remote WebDriver would be your driver. So once the test is done, you would mention it as close the driver. So I'm going to run the test, and it's going to open up in, yes, the virtual machine. So this is basically Alfresco, the content management tool that we work with at Zyzy. So this is basically doing an Alfresco secure login test. Okay, so now the test is done. I'm just going to run the parallel test. So this is about distributing our tests, having tests running in different machines. So if you have a test that you will have to run in different operating systems or different environments, then you can use this, or you have loads of test cases and you want to distribute it, then you can use this strategy as well. So now I've just got the parallel class running. This is basically, we're talking about saving time over here. So if we have a nightly build and we have something that we need to deliver to a customer like tomorrow morning, then we are literally saving time by actually running tests in a nightly build and so on. So here, as you can see, both Chrome and IE browsers have opened. So these are literally your node machines. So ideally, you wouldn't be doing it in the same machine, but in different machines. But that's basically how it's going to be. So that's basically how the tests have run on Grid, and how we've distributed tests in using Selenium Grid alone. But when we had this Selenium Grid, we had to use some features where we had to have reports. So basically, when we had situations where we had to run the test in a nightly build and get some proof out of there and give not just the team or just for yourself, but also to the clients, for them to understand how the tests have been. And extent reports is quite easy to understand as a business user, but obviously you need to give the knowledge to the report when you write the code. So the cool part of extent reports is that it's very responsive. It's got a nice UI. So during the demonstration, I will show you how it works and how it looks. And it's quite new. So it's close to 1 year now that they've introduced extent reports. They also have introduced a couple of months old a plugin for Cucumber as well. So they've been growing. So I've started using it from version 1, and now they're on version 2.4, and they've grown a lot, and they've introduced other functionalities as well. So let's also see how extent reports works with, what kind of knowledge do you give to your reports using syntax or code. So these are the commands that you ideally would be giving the report when you use extend report. So if you have a condition where you have a pass condition, okay, so if this happens, then it passes. If this happens, then it fails. All these details you literally give to the extend reports. And what extend reports would do is then get that as knowledge and use things for the report as well. So let's move on to the demonstration. So this is actually the key part where you would probably find extend reports quite interesting. So basically, I'm using a Maven project for my test. So I'm using the Maven dependency, as you can see. As I mentioned before, they do also have a plugin for Cucumber users as well. So I'm going to take the usual dependency, as usually you do for Maven projects, and put it into my POM XML. And yeah, I am now going into the test class. And as mentioned before, same type of test class, values are taken out of the test values.xml. And I'm initiating the extend report. So that's where you actually start. So each and every class, main test class, will have the extend report values. And then you can also see that I've mentioned the path. So this is the particular path that I want to have the report on. So if you're doing this in a system where you have it in the server, then you specify a path that you would like to have it. Then I'm taking the values and I'm giving the knowledge that the little test class, test case is started, and then each and every step I'm mentioning as info. So I'm saying login as user and accessing the repository page and so on. When it comes to the condition part, I am mentioning it as pass. And as I mentioned before, extend reports is an HTML report. So you can give HTML font details, all those kind of things can be done. So I've given the font color as green, and I'm taking the screenshot from the augmented driver because because ours is a repository and a screenshot needs to be taken in full size. I use the augmented driver, and I'm copying it to a specific path because I'm going to use the relative path so that I have my report and my media all in one place. So that when I want to zip it up and send it to any other person, then it's quite easy. And then once the test is over, I mention is as test has ended, and then I mention end flush. So extend reports flush, because then I give the knowledge that I'm going to start the other little report. So now I'm going to show you a fail scenario. So I'm forcibly changing one of my data so that you would see a failure scenario. So I'm going to run this test, and this is also going to run in my node. As you can see, the reports will be saved in the local machine or the hub. So you will literally have it where you want it to be, and it wouldn't be all over the place. So yeah, this basically is running a test which is going to be a negative test. So it's looking for a particular tab and it's not available. So this is the test that I have forced to fail. So it'll look for a particular document, but that won't be there because I've changed the name or the data. So as you see, the document name is not available. So now I'm going into my local machine, and you can see that the report has been produced. So that is how the reports looks like just for one test class. So you have all the steps. As you can see, for a business user, this is quite informative. It's got all the little steps. It's like a manual test case, literally. But you've really done the automated test and taken proof screenshots. You can attach screenshot wherever you want. Each and every step can also be catered. Then in a test class, you can filter for steps. So those on the side, as you can see, are filtering for pass test step and fail step as well. And you can also use the X to clear your filters as well. So then I'm also clicking on info. So that's basically the status that I use for steps. And you can also use filter. So in a situation where you want to see the culprits or the failure test cases, then you can filter out the failures and also look at pass as well. You can then use the X on the side to clear your filter as well. Now I'm going to click on the pie chart, as you can see. And in the pie chart, you would see that it's given more statistical data where you show how many steps have passed and failed, and how many tests have passed and failed, what is the start time, how much time was taken, and so on. And the coolest feature is if you have like hundreds of little test cases, you want to specifically search for one test case, then you can use the search button over there and search for that particular test as well. And you can change the color. That's one cool feature. And also you can change the name on the side specific to your project and so on. So since we've had a look at how the extent reports works and how helpful it would be in a business scenario and in the industry, we can actually also add in some other media like videos as well. So now we know that we are moving into not just sticking only into screenshots, but moving into videos and media like that. There's ways, because this is an HTML report, extent reports caters for videos as well. So in the next demonstration, I'm just going to show you how I attach videos, but I'm going to do it using the usual WebDriver. But if you have ways of using Selenium Grid Extras, or if you use AIM Mac 2.3, and if you could narrow down with session IDs, then you could actually have the remote WebDrivers inserted as well. And so let's have a look at how that works. So basically, this is the command that you would see for extent reports for adding a screencast, as you see. So as the same as adding a screen capture, you just have to give the path and make sure that the path you have is relative to the report, so that when you are transporting your report, you could zip it up and send it all together. Else you will have to change in your code or the HTML format. So I'm going to use the Monte screen recorder over here. So I'm going to get the dependency into my POM XML, and I'm going to get the video out of that. But the unfortunate situation about using Monte screen recorder is that it creates AVI videos to get screen captures. But if you're using something like AIM Mac 2.3 or some tool like that, then definitely you will have HTML-friendly videos. So I'm going to just use one of these online tools to convert my video into HTML-friendly video. So let's go into the code. So I'm just going to go into a test class. And as you can see, I'm going down, and I'm going to show you how the function is. So I'm sure many of you have used Monte Screen Recorder. It's also quite, it's just 1 year old. And yes, once you've had those functions inserted. So basically, my aim is to show you that extent reports works with video media as well. So when we are talking about videos, we would want to have more informative idea in the reports, because that's about reporting. So as you can see, I need to have the specific path, as I mentioned, the relative path. And I put in extra class over here, which gives me the path so that I can mention the path. Because the Monte screen recorder doesn't allow us to have videos unless and until it's in the movies folder, or if it's Windows, then the videos folder. So I had to put some extra code into there. So once you have the recording function and all those details ready, just mention that you started the recording in the beginning of the little test class, and at the end of the test class, you mention that you've stopped the recording, and then patch it into the report, but mention it as MP4. So if there's MP4 video, then you can put it over there. But since I'm using Monte Screen Recorder, I'm done the conversion. But there are lots of tools that you can actually use to have MP4 videos. So now I'm just running the test, as you see. So it's just going to navigate into folders and just have a look at this. So these videos are basically, I've used as training videos. So in my HTML report, as you can see, the video has already been added. So previously I ran the test and I've converted into MP4, so that therefore I have the video already available. As you can see, that's where the video was created. So that's the new video, ideally. So let's see how the report works with the video. So as you can see, I'm going to play the video, and yeah, it's playing fine. And you can see, so it doesn't take only the browser. As you can see, we take screenshots, but it takes only the browser screenshots. But the video covers the whole operating system, as you can see. So that's basically the main idea about using videos. So if we use videos, I've heard and also understood that when we use videos, it's quite helpful than using screenshots, because sometimes the browser has some pop-ups or some kind of update, and then the video, the test tends to crash, and we think it's because we've done something wrong with the development. But sometimes it's the browser problem, and we don't understand that, and screenshots don't capture that. And when we have videos, that caters to that need. And when we use that media into the reports, then it feels more confident when you go there and report to the clients and say, it wasn't the reason that the nightly build didn't work was because of this, and that makes you feel more confident when you're talking to the real business. So basically, after doing all these other features in Extent reports and using it with Selenium Grid hand in hand, there are other things that we can do. Like, as I mentioned before, you can use the screencast videos for remote WebDriver, break it into different test cases, little small test cases, and use that in your reports as well. So it's quite helpful, because when it came to situations where we had to work with clients, we had instances, because we work mainly with the government, so we had instances where our clients needed to also run the tests, and they would ask us, how does this work step by step, and so on. We can actually use these testing videos as training videos as well, which serves another purpose. So you give these reports, then they run see the reports, and also see each and every format of how the report and the video has taken place. So therefore, there's more room where you can change the screencast into, find ways to find screencasts from remote WebDriver as well. And also you can use Extend X. So basically, the use of extent X is also part of extent reports. So you have to join MongoDB with extent reports and then get the dashboard all together and have a wonderful look of the extent reports all together would give you a more wonderful reporting dashboard. And finally, transferring these reports. You can definitely do configurations with your continuous integration tools to transfer your reports, but find more ways to innovate the process so that you can, once the tests are run, you can send it to everyone that you would like. So this is basically the challenges that I faced with Selenium Grid and how using extent reports and so on. Hope this was helpful for you guys and you guys could take it back home and use it in your industries as well. If there's any questions, feel free to ask.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi. So the extent report, how does it deal with a rerun of the same test? We do rerun on a failed test.
Yeah, so what it does is it overrides it. Unless and until you specify some kind of code name or something, it will overwrite it. That's how it works.
I have a question about videos. So how do you take care about those videos? So do you keep those videos always or only if the test is failing? Because if you have several thousand test cases, I can imagine that those videos can be huge, you know, the volume.
Yeah, so basically we are trying ways to only store failed test case videos, but we've still not got there. But we're still working on that because now we are trying to pull out videos from the remote WebDriver using session IDs. And we need to go more precise with failure. So we're working on it.
Hello. I want to ask you, do you use this extent X that you mentioned or only HTML reports?
No, we use extent X as well. So we have to use extent reports with MongoDB when running your tests, yes.
Yeah, okay. Do you use it one project or in different projects?
We've just used it in one, like we make sure that we use only in one project and then the others in a different project and so on.
Okay, and for every project you set up a different, let's say, MongoDB for it, or they're in one project? How you
Again, it depends on how you do your configuration on the continuous integration tool and so on. So if it's one main project, then the MongoDB goes with that. But if it's one like parent project and you have sub-projects, then you can have one MongoDB for all those sub-projects together.
Okay, and do you use these categories?
Categories, yes, for extent X, yes, you have to. So when you use categories, then you can easily filter according to your need. So yes, we do use it, but it's in extent X, yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Hi. Hi, here.
Okay.
Is there any provision to pass step definitions or the features in the log?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
We have the given, when, then statements, and if we want to pass all the features in the log, is there any provision so that we can directly pass all the features in the from the step definition into the log?
So you are saying that you would like to get all the step definitions in the logs?
Yeah, one by one. But like if I'm using a Cucumber feature file, and I have the given, when, then statements, and I have the step definitions in one my step definition class, and I want to log like this step definition started and this step definition ended. Is there any provision to pass the step definition, or I have to write it down every time?
Yeah, you will have to write it down, but if you have a way that you can print it in your tests, in some way, then it'll gather it up and throw it into the HTML report. But else, you will have to write it step by step as using a usual logger file.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you guys. I see a lot of great questions coming out of the crowd. And I saw a lot more hands go up, which is really good, but we want to get you guys to lunch and eating. So please do find Christina. I know she'll be glad to talk to you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
So